space as possible to continue to grow. What other hurdles do you think that you face yourself as being a streamer?
For me, a lot of it is the comparison thing. I do that all the time, where you'll be like, oh, look at me. I'm sitting here on this number of sub points, and I've been on this number of sub points forever. And here's 20 people that I can point at on Twitter who just achieved goals that are like twice the size of mine, and blah, 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 blah. This is really depressing. I'm not going anywhere, etc. It's this negative thought spiral that happens when you can see only the things that people are making available for you to see. It's really hard because like a lot of the times what people put out onto the internet is not a whole picture. You're not getting all of it. You don't see the amount of work that was behind a goal being accomplished. You don't see the amount of like stress and strain that they're facing in other aspects of their life that you have on lock and totally handled. All you see are like one tweet that 700 people liked that said they got 1,000 sub points in one night, and you're just like, I'm never gonna do that. And so that false comparison is really hard to get over, because it's so much easier to look at something you don't have and make yourself feel shitty about it than it is to recognize the things that you do have and tell yourself like, hey, I have this many people that support me, and that's so great. Like that's like, I am a full-time broadcaster. I make a living doing this as a job, and there are so many people that can't say that, right? So there's a really good thing, but you keep focusing on all of this social media of other people doing better, quote unquote, because it's not actually the case. They're doing differently than you. But one of the really big things, I think, is to recognize that negative thought cycle and to get that logical backing where it's like you see the thing and you think the thought. It's not trying to tell yourself not to think these bad thoughts, because that's like, you're a human being, like it'll happen. But instead of just letting that run like circles around you until you're super depressed, seeing yourself think that negative thought, seeing that negative thought cycle start, and stopping it with whatever tools you have, like that logical assumption of, yes, this person has accomplished a goal. That's really awesome and good for them. This should be like inspiration for you to be able to go harder after your own goals, or to be like, yes, we didn't hit this sub goal, like recognizing this negative thought, but look at all this cool stuff that I do have that hasn't gone away. It doesn't not exist. Or one of the things that my therapist has told me is like, if you have like a negative thing, like what advice would you give to someone else that was coming to you with that problem? Because like I am a person who does a lot of advice giving, but has a hard time taking it. And so that's one of the things that I think is super important, is to like take that step outside of yourself and be like, hey, if one of your friends is like, this is a really big thing. Like we're all more protective of our friends than we are of ourselves. Like if one of your friends came to you and says like, I'm looking at this thing and I'm just having all these negative thoughts and I don't think I'm going to get anywhere and I'm just blah, 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 blah. What would you say to them? And then like internalize that, because that's what you're doing, you know? And so
Yeah.
I think that's like, in terms of like social media as a streamer, like that false comparison is huge. And stopping that negative thought cycle is like really important.
Yeah, and it's not even just, just on Twitch itself. It's like comparing, viewer counts, sub counts, follower counts. Like, if they're streaming at the same time as you, the same game as you. Viewer count is something that not even comparing, but just looking at your own viewer count can be a huge stressor to a lot of streamers. And I don't know any streamer that has never been stressed about their numbers. Like people say that they're not, but everyone's been there at least at some point, if not still stuck there today. I think for me, from my experience, Twitch added the ability to hide your viewer count and your dashboard. I do that 99% of the time. I never look at my viewer count anymore. I just kind of focus on my show, focus on having a good time. Whether I have 200 viewers or 1,000 viewers, I want me to be the same, because it's like, even if I'm doing better than I normally do, I still find that the numbers are affecting me, because then I'm like nervous. I'm like, okay, like, holy crap, like I gotta take advantage of this. So for those that are constantly staring at their viewer count and just focusing on it, just turn it off. Don't look at it. Especially like you're like hyper focused on like having like, let's say you have like 2 to 3 viewers and that number ticks up to 4 or it ticks down to 3. Like that little fluctuation is something that just is natural. It's so natural to like, you're constantly losing and gaining viewers all the time. When you have a smaller number of viewers, then it feels more significant, right? It's like, I had 10 people, now I have 9. Like, what's happening? What's changed? You think the world was about to end, but really, someone didn't like it. Someone had to go. Someone apparently now, like, if you mute the stream, it doesn't count. So, I mean, just turn it off and focus on your content.
And I think one of the more important things there is to realize that there are a lot of there's things that are in your control about your content and your numbers, and there's a lot of things that are out of your control. Like you say, my sub count is at this and I wish it were at that. Well, the majority of the things affecting that are things you cannot control. Like, right. I can't control my viewers' Christmas shopping budget. That's not something I have any say over. And there's an amount that you can be cognizant of, like, this time of year and this thing that is out of my control is happening. And there's the amount that you can't. And just acknowledging that some amount of your perceived success is something you cannot affect.
You can't stop someone from leaving. And you can't force someone to watch your stream.
Exactly. And so some of that, like, take that stress off of yourself, because you cannot control 100% of your own, like, viewer numbers or sub count or like whatever social media reach. That's out of your hands. You can do what you can and then just be like, all right, I did as much as I can. And the rest of it is not like reflected on me as a flaw. Right? Don't beat yourself up over everything, because you can't possibly have your hands in all of these pies. Like, I can't make my viewer who just lost their job go get another job so that they can still sub to me. Like, that's not something that I can control. You know?
And so instead of like focusing on like the number of viewers, instead change that focus into, okay, how's my content? How's my stream? Watch your own stream, watch your VODs. How can you improve? Like, how are you as engaged as you could be? Are you planning events? Do you feel like you need to spice things up a little bit? Kind of like, if you're not happy with your viewer count, take that and then focus it onto what you're doing, and not like don't keep doing the same thing and then just look over and then be like, oh my God, I lost viewers. Like, what did I
what did I do to affect the change here? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think one really good way of doing that is presentness and being meditative on what's going on currently. So it's easy to get into this negative spiral of like, oh, my sub count is dropping, or someone else that started streaming at the same time as me is a partner. Like Bluejay started later than me and she rated me, and then like a few months later she got partnered, and a few months later she has hundreds of subs and everything. And it's like, well, what's wrong with me? Why am I not doing this? And that comparison can sometimes be healthy when you see like, well, she actually has a schedule and she focuses on making sure that she's live at the time that she says she does. And she's put a lot of work into it for weeks and weeks and months and months. And I haven't done that, because for me, I'd rather focus on certain other aspects of my life. And I have to be happy that is what I have chosen, because you will choose to put focus on things that are important to you, even if you don't subconsciously realize it. And you might not know it's important to you, because there's this Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you might have seen it. It's like pyramid. Yeah, I saw the word, I just couldn't say it. And so there's 5 total tiers, and the bottom 2 tiers are your foundation. They're the biggest ones. You have physiological needs, your homeostasis, basically making sure that you have enough food, water, and rest within you. And then the next one up is security and safety, making sure that you are secure in your income, or you have a house and a roof over your head, and you have emergency savings. And then the next one up is having psychological needs fulfilled. So that's having a sense of belonging. So like having a Twitch community outside of your own that you're like, if I never streamed, this is what I would like, this is where I would hang out all the time or something. Or maybe you're a churchgoer, or maybe you're really into gardening and you joined like a gardening group or something like that. Or you're a constant lifetime learner and you like either reading stuff on the internet or auditing classes at your community college. And then eventually that builds into your self-esteem and your ability to have a feeling of accomplishment when you do finish your goals, or at least attempt them. And it's okay to fail at them, but you feel accomplished that you attempted it in the first place. And then finally at the top is self-actualization. And that's when you feel like you have achieved your full potential and you've done everything at the bottom, like from the bottom to the top of the pyramid. And now you can focus on doing creative outlets. And that's where Twitch lies. It's a high level mental thing that you are supposed to only be able to do once all of your psychological and physiological needs are fulfilled. So if you're not eating correctly and you go and stream and you feel lethargic, or you feel like you're not on top of your game with your commentary, or you're lashing out at your viewers when they're doing the same jokes that you allowed a few weeks ago. So like trying to find that balance and realizing that that's something that you need to not only apply to when you stream, but also how you look at social media and how you interact with your IRL friends and family and so on and so forth.